And I see we still have people joining us. Lavinia, Detroit, Washington. Hi to everyone. Sao Paulo, amazing. Prince of Wales Island in Alaska, wow. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So today's session will be made up of two parts. First, we'll take a look at the new features in action, and then we will move into a live Q&A where I'll be answering all of your questions. So we do know that we're going to get lots of questions about all of these exciting new features. So please do pop them in the Q&A box, which you can find at the bottom of your screen. You can pop in the questions at any time. I'm also joined today by two of my colleagues, Yona and Aaron, who will be helping to answer all of your questions throughout the session. So like I said, feel free to pop them in the Q&A. I do ask that you don't put them in the chat because they will get lost. And if we don't get to your question, we'll do our best to get through as many as we can. But if we don't get to it, don't worry, you can always reach out to our amazing support team at Monday, and they are support@monday.com, and I will remind you of that at the end as well. Okay, so with the housekeeping out of the way, let's take a look at today's agenda. So we're going to be looking at the most impactful new features, which includes our new cards view, updates to the Kanban view, dashboard improvements. We have a new way to celebrate your done tasks. We're going to do a recap on Workdocs if you haven't been introduced to it yet. And we're going to take a quick look at the app of the month, which is Semrush. So let's go ahead and jump on in. So whilst a lot of the features you're going to see today have a huge variety of applications, we've decided to use the example of a marketing use case to demonstrate them. Now, don't worry if you have nothing to do with creative or marketing teams. Almost all of the features that you're going to see today are applicable to tons of other use cases. Let's go ahead and jump into one of the boards so we can see it in action. So this is the creative requests board. This is actually a template. So if you want this board after the session, you can find it by going to add and choose from the templates and just search for creative requests. But this is a template where teams can receive new requests, they can process their open requests, and they can also see a history of all of their completed requests. It's actually a really great board for any work request type, so it can definitely be applied to non-creative teams too. And all of the features we'll be showing you today can be used with any board, but this is just a great way to show the features in context. So let's start with the first feature, which is the new cards view. And this is a board view. If you don't know about our board views, they allow you to see all of the data in your board in a number of different ways. And this is great for customizing your workflow and getting a more visual picture of your board. So you can add any board view just by selecting add. You can see we have lots of different board views here, but we're going to look at the brand new one, which is the cards view, which you'll see has a little new symbol next to it anyway. So we're going to add this to our board. And the cards view in particular, as you can see, is particularly good for creative requests or any project where files or assets are important. And we can see here that if you'd like to see your board information in a more visual way, this is definitely one for you. It allows you to see all of the important information about your item in one easy consolidated view. And you can think of this like an item gallery. One of the best things about this view is the ability to customize it to only show the most crucial information to your team. So you can see here that we have the cards cover, and that refers to this section up here. We can decide what we want to show in that section. So right now, if I'm handling creative requests, then files is a really good thing to be able to see, but I could also change it if I wanted to see visually who has been assigned to each item. I could go ahead and change this to assignee. And now I can visually see which items I need to work on and my other team members, what they're working on. And we can simply flip it back using the dropdown. We can also select which columns should appear in each card by using the checkboxes. And you can see this list of checkboxes here. This refers to all of the columns that I have on my board. And I can just simply check whatever I want to be able to see. So maybe I want to be able to see when each of my items were created. So I can just tick it and it'll get added to my item card. And just like with any of our other views, you can easily update your items directly from the cards view without needing to leave. You can just click in and you'll see a pop-up with all of the information for that item. So if I want the requester or their phone number, I don't need to jump back to the main table. I can even add updates straight from this view as well. And now our team can work more visually and see the most important information on their board clearly. And speaking of views, another really popular way to visualize data on your board is with the Kanban view. And if you're not familiar with this feature, the Kanban view is based on a project management methodology with the same name. What it does is it allows you to see your tasks in the board by status. And it's really good when you have tasks that need to go through different phases or different statuses before they reach completion. So whilst the Kanban view isn't new, it's been around for a while, we have made a couple of improvements. So let's go ahead and see it in action and add it to our board. Great. So like I said, you can see now that each of our items has been grouped into channels, and this makes it really easy for us to see what stage or what phase of the task the item is currently in. And as the item moves through the stages, it will also move along the relevant channels. So if I were to reclassify this from low to high, it would move that way. And I can drag and drop these around. So I can put high over here to make more sense. And as I up the priority, this item will move here and here. And I can also, like with the item card, I can go ahead and change what the column is grouped by. So at the minute I have it grouped by priority. If I wanted to, I could change it and group it by status, or I could group it by type, which I can then see what kind of things I have that I'm working on. These are all status columns, but they are different status columns for different things that I'm tracking in my board. And just like with the item card, the changes and the updates that we've made are now to allow you to completely customize the information you can see in your columns. So again, you have the checkboxes that run along this this right-hand side. And again, you can tick whatever is interesting for your team to be able to see, and it will be automatically added to the Kanban. Previously, we had very limited column support. So this is a great update and really allows you to have even more flexibility over how you visualize your data so you can create the perfect workflow. Now let's go ahead and jump back to the main table view. Before we move on to looking at some additions for our dashboard, let's have a look at something fun. And we have made a couple of updates to our status column. And the status column is by far one of our most popular column types. So this update is small, but it's definitely mighty. So we know that in normal cases, most people tend to use green as their done button, but this isn't the case in all cases and in all workflows. Sometimes you might have more than one status that is done, or you might just want to use a different color than green. And those people who are using the other colors definitely shouldn't be celebrating the completion of their work any less. So we've gone ahead and added some fun animations to any color status label when it's defined as done. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. So like I said, at the moment, you can see we have a green done button, but let's say I wanted to create a new one. And instead I wanted to have a blue done button. So let's put loads of exclamation marks because we're very happy about it. Now, all we have to do is go to the status, open up the column settings, and we just need to define which label means assignments are done. Now, I've got blue selected, so green and blue. If I added another color, let's say a purple, I could also add that in. But this is important so that the platform knows when an item is done. Now, if I go ahead and change the stuck to our new done, you can see we have a fun animation to celebrate the success of completing our task. And that's a small but fun update that we've added to the status column. Now let's move on to the dashboards. And for those of you who have never used the dashboards, let me provide you with a quick introduction. So dashboards allow you to take data from one board, or more commonly, they're used to combine information from multiple boards, and you can create a custom view that gives you all of the information you need. They're particularly useful for reporting, whether that's on teams, projects, or if you just want to see your overall progress or your goals. So let's take a look at some of the updates we've made to the dashboards. Here is a dashboard that I made earlier. Now, these changes may seem small, but they massively improve the overall user experience. So one thing that we've done is we've streamlined the widgets now so that they look much cleaner and more consistent. One small change, but a very mighty change, is that we can now add titles to all of the dashboard widgets. This allows us to click onto the title of each widget and rename it to something more relevant for our team. And as you can see here, this is particularly useful when we have multiples of the same widget type. So you can see here that I have 2 different calendars. You can see I have my weekly calendar and my monthly calendar. And because I can edit the titles, now it's really obvious to me what the difference between each of these is. I can have a lower level view where I can see what each member of my team has going on. And I can have a bigger view where I can see what's going on across the month. And we've also made it much easier to rearrange and drag around the widgets so that you can have a much more frictionless experience when you're creating the perfect dashboard for your team. So if I resize this, you can now see that everything else on the dashboard moves around to accommodate it. And if I drag it back, then I'm able to have exactly the same layout that I had before. We've also made it easier to drag and drop things around. So in general, it's a much easier and more frictionless experience for you to use. And of course, I had to feature the llama farm as it's one of my favorite widgets that we have on the dashboard. And before we move on to one of the last features, I want to take a step back and revisit one of the milestone updates that we've added to the platform recently, in case you weren't aware. So if you haven't heard, we recently released a whole new building block to the monday.com workOS, which is the Monday Workdocs. And with this, we actually took inspiration from technology from multiplayer gaming, which, if you're not aware or you don't play, enables players to collaborate with each other within the same space. And it's with this in mind that we created the Workdocs. You can add a Workdoc to your platform just like you would add a board or a dashboard. So by clicking add and then new doc. I actually have one that I created earlier, so we can go ahead and jump into this. Now, as we've said, there are so many great features for marketing teams this month. So as an example, we've made this document into a marketing brief, but it definitely doesn't stop there. You can definitely use it for lots of other applications too. So Workdocs are the first truly collaborative document and the next step in making monday.com an all-encompassing workOS platform for you. We like to think of Workdocs as an unstructured canvas that allows you to create your own customized workflows within Monday and bring all of your ideas to a shared space. Now, this might look like just any other document, but trust me, it's much more. And I'm going to show you now. So one of the best features about Workdocs is the ability to co-edit in real time. And this means that your team can instantly share comments, drag and drop text, and collaborate freely without disrupting each other's experience. What this means is, as you can see here, this is a marketing brief, and I am working with 2 of my co-workers, so with Harry and Albus, who both have different roles in the project. They can also access this document, and they can add in their own text. We can both be typing at the exact same time without interrupting each other. And that's because each of these are separate blocks that can be dragged and dropped around. So if I need to move something down, I can simply move it up and down, as can any of my other team members too. Another thing that is a great thing about Workdocs is, just like you have on a board, you can use the @ function to mention people. So we can just go @ and select Harry if there's something that we need to tell him. And just like with a board, it's going to notify Harry and let him know that he has a new update or he's been mentioned in a new part of the document. And that means everyone is on the same page, we're all aligned, and we can all work collaboratively together. You can also bring your documents to life with real-time elements. And you may have noticed I already have a couple of them here, and I will explain to you exactly how they work. So what is great about this is that you can embed your monday.com boards or dashboards, images, videos directly into your Workdoc so that your content and your data stay up to date and aligned with every workflow. And you can do it just along this header here. You can select a board or a widget, video and an image. So what I've done here is I have embedded my creative request board, which is the board that we looked at earlier. And this is because in this project, Albus is the designer for the social media designs. So anytime that we need to create a social media asset for the creative request board, rather than needing to jump back to the board, we can simply add it here. Not only that, everything here is updated in live time, which means whenever you look at this document, everything will be accurate and up to date. As something moves from an open request to working on it, we can see that change reflected in the embedded board. And likewise, we can also use widgets. So for example, we can keep track of the project budget by using the numbers widget below. And as we keep adding more and more tasks and the budget keeps going up, this will automatically be updated. We can even change if it's using average, median, minimum, anything like that. And we can see this all directly from our Workdoc without needing to jump between dashboards and boards. Everything can now be in one place. This allows you to turn unstructured thoughts into actionable, organized workflows. And now something that we've just released is that you can also save the Workdocs as a template. So that means you can use them time and time again. If you tend to have projects that follow the same steps, you might like to create a template and it's already there for you and ready to go. And what that means is that you have all of the information that you're going to need in one place. Now, like I said, this is just a recap of Workdocs. There's definitely much more to it. And so if you do want to learn more about any of the features we're mentioning today or about the Workdocs in general, what you can do is go to this question mark here, click on the Help Center and search for Workdocs. And you'll find a whole FAQ on the Workdocs and how to use them. So definitely a great feature to try out if you haven't had a chance yet. All right, so I told you at the beginning that we have an app of the month. And if you haven't heard, Monday now has a marketplace. And this is where you can power up your workflows with third-party apps that extend the functionality of the platform even further. If you haven't taken the time to visit the app marketplace, I'm going to show you how you can do that now. So what you can do is go to the three-dot menu and select the app marketplace. And you'll see this pop up. This is where you can explore all of the different apps that we have. And each month, we'd like to highlight an app that we think our users will find particularly useful in their workflows. And as I mentioned at the beginning, today's app of the month, or this month's app of the month, is Semrush. And whilst many of the features today have been applicable to almost all use cases, this app is probably more relevant for those working in the marketing sector. And so what the app does is it allows you to bring your marketing research data straight into monday.com. You can then use the app to turn your keyword research into actionable plans. You can boost collaboration across your teams and manage your website's health and visibility directly from the platform. So this is a particularly great app if you're looking to get your client onto the first page of Google's search results. Keyword research is the way to achieve this. And with the Semrush app, you can make sure that all of your team is aligned around the keyword research and optimize your online visibility. We currently have 2 integration recipes available, and I will show you them now. So you can use each of these to plan your keyword research in Monday, automatically have all of this added to Semrush, and then see the search volume, the keyword difficulty, and the cost per click for each search term. You can even update it directly from Monday at the click of a button. And again, if you want to try it out, all you need to do is go to the app marketplace and search for it. If this app isn't particularly interesting for you, but you want to see what else is on offer, I highly recommend checking the marketplace out anyway. We're adding new apps to it constantly, and there's lots of different amazing apps out there for all different types of industries. You can see that we have them organized by category along the left-hand side here. You can find our newest apps here, and I recommend having a play around with them. The only thing to note is that the admins should be the one to add the apps to the account. Okay, so that is going to start to wrap up the first half of this webinar. Just a recap of what we covered. So the new card view, Kanban updates, dashboard improvements, celebrate your done tasks, Workdocs, and that app of the month. We will be moving on to the Q&A shortly. So this is a great time to start getting in any questions that you have or anything that's come up along the session that you'd like to know more about. Get them popped into the Q&A, not the chat. I am going to take just a minute to have a drink of water, take a look at our questions, and then we'll get right into it. So bear with me just a moment and we will take a look.